Everybody, welcome. We've still got some more coming in the room. Let's see. My name is Katie Rainey. I'm the director of the Teaching Artist Project. My pronouns are she, hers, and I am a white woman with blonde hair, big earrings, a pink shirt. You're going to see a lot of books behind me. So welcome to our Teaching Artist Project open house. Jay, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Jay Howard, and I am the TAP Lead Curriculum Development this year. I am honored to be here so we can talk about our TAP experiences, but also what the TAP program will have to offer this year as we move into a virtual format. So thank you all for joining us.
And we are going to record this session for folks who can't make it this evening. So if you don't want to be recorded, you can just turn your camera off, but it'll mostly be Jay's screen recorded with the presentation. So we're going to be looking at this slideshow as we go along, but first we want to just do some introductions, see who's in the room. So if you could say your name, your preferred pronouns, your art form, and if your art form or your teaching style were a beverage, what beverage would they be? I'm going to drop that into the chat, and I'm going to just go ahead and say Katie, she, hers. My art form is writing and media arts. And if my teaching style were a beverage, it would just be black coffee, 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 coffee all the way. Jay, what about you?
My name is Jay Howard. My pronouns are he and him. My art forms are hip hop and poetry. And if my teaching style or art form was a beverage, it will be apple cider. You think of it as seasonal, but it's actually something that is good year round.
Ooh, I like that. Who wants to jump in?
I will.
Oh, go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, sorry. Hi, we were simultaneous. I'm Sarah Nassif. I'm in Minneapolis, and my art forms are kind of wide ranging from public art, social practice, a lot of screen printing and fiber related pursuits, but all having to do with connecting with nature. I have a degree in botany. And I suppose if my art form were a beverage, it would be licorice tea.
Awesome.
My name is Rachel Eit. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I live in New York. I'm a writer. I write essays and also short stories. And if my teaching style were a beverage, I would say, depending on the day, it's either also black coffee or Mountain Dew. That extra push.
Yeah, need that. Thank you. Moira, are you raising your hand?
I am. I'm Mora, and I'm she, her. I'm a poet and a fiction writer. I like to make sculptures out of found objects with a lot of patina and worn edges, and I like to do photography of a lot of those same things. And if my teaching was a beverage, it would be kombucha, because it's almost going to give you a buzz, but not quite. Gives you a little energy, comes in a lot of flavors, and yeah, maybe it's good for you, maybe not.
Thank you. If you just came in, we're just going around introducing ourselves, and I dropped in the chat what we're saying right now. Who wants to go next?
Me.
I see Henry, and then somebody else who said me.
Crystal.
Crystal, you want to go Henry and then Crystal?
Hello, my name is Henry Schreibman. Pronouns are he, him. Art forms, theater, primarily acting, and visual arts, printmaking mainly, and recently a lot of digital art. And then I also do sewing and costume construction, so I've got a lot going on.
Cool.
I would say if my stuff was a beverage, I'm gonna go green tea. Matcha specifically, if you want to get fancy about it, just that bright green powder. It's great. It's yummy, and it gives you energy, and it's very colorful, which is kind of what I like to go for.
Awesome. Thank you. Crystal.
Okay, so I'm Crystal Noriega. I've never done the pronoun thing, but I guess it's she, her. And I teach cultural dance and music and singing. So very ancestral based. Let's see, if I was a beverage, like what I teach, I would say morir soñando. It's a drink from the Dominican Republic. It's like a really awesome orange juice.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Nice to meet you, Crystal.
Same here. And I'm in Rochester, New York. I don't know where y'all are at exactly, but I'm upstate.
Jay, we'll see Crystal on Saturday.
For the Rochester trainings, yes.
Yes, Rock City in the house.
All right, who wants to go next? Sarah Gordon, is that right?
Yep. Hi, I'm Sarah Gordon, and I use she, her pronouns. I'm currently in Pennsylvania. My art form is theater, directing, dance, choreography, and devising. And if my art form was a teaching style, I think it would be sweet iced tea.
Love it. Who wants to go next? I'm trying to scroll through seeing hands raised, so.
Hi.
Go for it. Johnny, did I see? Is that right?
Yes. Hi, I'm Johnny, he, him pronouns. I am a theater artist, especially physical theater, and I do a lot of drag work. And I think if my style was a beverage, it would be various beverages with citrus added to them. Just a lot of citrus.
Love that. I'm a big citrus fan myself. All right, who wants to go? If you just came in, we're introducing ourselves, and I dropped in the chat what we're introducing ourselves as. Alec? Is it Alec?
Yes, I'm Alec. Pronouns are he, him. Artistic forms are dance. Contemporary forms, a lot of movement forms of African diaspora in Latin America especially. And also some poetry, a little bit of music, chess here and there, whatever it takes really. And if my art was a beverage, that's hard to pick. I like the many drinks thing because I feel like it's many beverages, but I have to pick one, maybe ginger beer. A little sweet, a little spicy.
Nice. Thank you. Did I miss anybody? Is anybody not gone?
I'll jump in. I just joined.
Wait, yeah, sorry.
My name's Kate. My pronouns are she, her. The art form that I often participate in is poetry writing and creative writing in general, playwriting. And if it were to be a beverage, something really fresh, maybe a lemon iced tea with some mint leaves and lots of ice.
Yummy. Did I miss anyone? Did anyone else want to go? I think maybe we got everybody. Jay, I have a silly technical question. If I pin your video, is it going to get the slideshow in the shot, or is it going to just film you? I haven't done it recorded on my end when I'm not sharing the slideshow.
I was going to say the same thing. I haven't done it either the other way, but I think the slideshow should be the main attraction.
Okay. Well, we'll see. This is why we're not live streaming this one. All right. Well, thank you guys all for introducing yourselves and for being here. We just wanted to hear who's in the room right now today. So we're going to go over TAP, all things TAP today, what you can expect of the program. We're going to walk through what it looks like, and then we're just going to open it up for questions. So any questions you have about the Teaching Artist Project, we'll be able to answer. So this specifically is about our upcoming TAP session. We have other programs going on, like our summer series, our training in Rochester, but this is specifically about our main Teaching Artist Project program, which we will go over in this overview. You want to go to the first slide, Jay? So quickly, Teaching Artists, did I freeze? No, I didn't. Okay. The Teaching Artist Project is a part of Community Word Project. So we're an arts and education organization in New York City. We work in 1st through 12th grade classrooms and Title I schools in New York City in all 5 boroughs. We teach what we call collaborative arts residencies. So that means we send 2 teaching artists into every classroom, and one's always a writer and one's an artist of another art form. So Jay has collaborated with musicians and theater artists before. I've collaborated with dancers, media artists, and we create a collaborative curriculum where students are creating projects using both art forms. So that's what we do in our collaborative arts residencies. And then the other half of Community Word Project is the Teaching Artist Project, where we train artists to become teaching artists, or we also train teachers in the DOE. That's CWP. And we will say TAP and CWP a lot of acronyms. So if I say one that you haven't heard, please stop me and I will explain it. But we're gonna watch our brand new video real quick. We just finalized this week. One of our alums created this video for us, so we're pretty excited about it. Wanna hit play? I think you have to unmute yourself.
TAP is just like a nice community where we TAP is just like a nice community where we could teach art and teach self-expression.
The Teaching Artist Project is a collective of diverse minds. We are all educators looking for a way to deepen our understanding. We are either emerging artists that have been in the field for a long time. We are looking to have a social justice-oriented approach and strengthen our own values as we grow into the field.
A teaching artist is someone that is definitely needed, not only for kids, but just for like a community in general.
I think that's one of the things I really like about the TAP program is the people.
It's not often you sit in the classroom, you learn from the students, you probably learn from the teachers. But in the TAP community, I learn from everybody who I meet.
And when we see each other in the hallways, we're like so excited.
TAP community is amazing. Like before, I was a flamingo in a world full of pigeons. Now I'm a flamingo in a star full of peacocks.
TAP has a few levels to it. The first being the training programs, the workshops. The workshops happen on Saturday, so you donate a few hours of your time for a lifetime of enrichment. We go over some philosophies, we center the trainee as an approach, and we center our students as an approach in learning. And that is where we kind of lay the foundation down for what it is to be a teaching artist, where you think about your own techniques, your own art forms, your own creative elements, and position them in a way to make the most sense in the classroom for yourself, but also for your students.
Social justice is incorporated a lot into TAP and is spread out throughout our learning and education in the TAP program. And that is because we're preparing our students for the world that they'll be stepping into. There's so many components of social justice that we can teach these students that they don't really get to have in regular school education, that better helps them understand who they are as people and how they see the people around them.
We have the internships where you have things happen in practice. You learn the things on Saturday and you get a chance to put them into theory. Some people have never had a chance to teach inside of a classroom, so you feel your way in slowly observing first and then getting a hands-on experience where you first get to teach a lesson and get some feedback on it so you can be well prepared as you make your way into a career as a teaching artist.
I'm in this like writing and music class for
this group of 4th graders. One aspect of the way the teaching artists facilitate the space is that they allow students to have like a chosen name that they want to go by instead of just like their school name, which I like. I think I really really appreciate that because it allows them to have the chance to go by and be seen as like how they want to be seen. There's a student who like, he goes by Wolf Boy, and I think it's just like the coolest thing that he like, as a kid, gets to have other people and adults refer to him as such. Queer and trans kids were like beginning to question. That also offers a gateway for them to like test out what they're comfortable being seen as.
Seeing what a teaching artist does opposed to what a classroom teacher does, it's such a breath of fresh air.
We also have electives. I find like that's one of my favorite parts of the TAP program because it's where we like to say choose your own adventure. You are picking things that make the most sense to you and things that might have been of interest to you. So you might find a elective on dance and working with small children in the classroom. Lessons with different art forms, working with different age groups, working in different settings, and panels as well, where you kind of get information, workshops, trainings.
When it comes to like hierarchy, art is always undervalued, especially in public schools, especially in New York City, where 50% of schools don't have an art program, whether it's like music, theater, or art. Arts education is so important. Oh my God. Like, art itself is so important because it's expression. And humans, as human beings, are expressive people. We're social, expressive. We're not made to be isolated. We're made to express verbally, mentally, physically. So it's only right to promote that in places such as school, which is where you spend the majority of your life as a kid.
So that's what TAP does. Create a bunch of little, Maya Angelou, a bunch of little Maya Angelos. She was a great leader in the civil rights movement, and she did guerrilla art. So yeah, we're learning how to not only do that, but also teach other people how to do that.
I don't know if anyone had, on my end, it was needed to buffer a little bit, so I'm just going to drop the link in case you want to watch the video later. I don't know if anybody else had that problem, but it might just be my internet connection. You want to go to the next slide, Jay? Thanks.
So the Teaching Artists Project is a collective of diversely experienced arts educators, training emerging and working teaching artists who are looking for a supportive community to engage in a self-reflective, justice-oriented learning practice in service of their teachings. A lot of the trainings kind of encourage us to think about who we are as artists, but also who we are inside of the classroom. So they're very immersive, very collaborative based, and very experiential in the workshop process, but also it gives us time to reflect throughout the entire process as well. Our team is consisted of many awesome individuals. I'm the lead facilitator of curricular internships. We also have Adriana Guzman, who's the facilitator. Carla Robinson is our TAP artistic director. And we have Katie Riney.
Yeah, so just so you know, Jay and I are both alums of the program. We, let's see, like 100 years ago graduated. I've been a part of CWP for about 8 years and went from a trainee to program assistant to program manager and then director, some steps along the way there. But so this program is really facilitated by the alums. It's a very cyclical program. Carla Robinson is also an alum of the program. And most of the teaching artists for CWP are also alums. So we like to keep it very like the participants and the alums create the training and keep it going and help it evolve over the years. So TAP has definitely seen a huge evolution over the 22 years that it has been running. We'll go to the next one.
So we have a usual TAP structure. This year is a little bit different as we move into a virtual format. However, with our usual TAP structure, we would have in-person Saturdays trainings for these workshops. And these workshops, again, that's the immersive elements where you kind of go into some theories, we go into different applications, and those are really where you get a bulk of your training times. They usually happen on Saturdays, so we can kind of dedicate our times outside of the work environment and really spend some time to dive into who we are. The internships are set up to happen during the school day or in after school settings. With the internships, usually you will get a chance to pick the internships that you are interested in. And if you are, depending on your track, if you're emerging or if you're kind of more experienced, it kind of determines the length you would spend in your internships. The internships gives you a chance to be inside of the classroom with an experienced teaching artist. You kind of work alongside of them, first kind of getting the glimpse inside the classrooms, first some observations, but then kind of slowly working your way into being an integral part of the classroom, from helping them to lead exercises and then to eventually leading your own lesson plan inside the class. During the workshops, we will help prepare you for the lesson plan, so you come into that internship feeling more prepared about it as well. The last part of our usual experience consists of the electives. And with the electives, we like to say that's the choose your own adventure part of the TAP training process. Because, we have the workshops which are very consistent, and the internships are happening in the schools. But the electives are kind of offered by the TAP cohort, and they are led by some master teaching artists, and that is where you could kind of get hands-on training with some more specific skills that you might lead. Some electives could be SEL learning. We've done some online curriculum development. We've also done some dance electives as well. So this is where you kind of get to customize your experiences and gain more hours that kind of gives you that all-around experience within the TAP structure.
Yeah, so TAP is normally 8 months long. It normally runs October to May. And these three elements that Jay went over, which are also expanded upon in the video, I encourage you to go watch that video again, are explained in depth. However, this year TAP is going to look a little bit different. And if you want to go to the next slide, I'm going to drop a link into the chat. This is going to lead you to a PDF document that you can also find on our website under the apply page. And this is a written overview of what I'm going to go over right now. So this year, TAP in general we have a responsive pedagogy is what we like to say. So we really respond to who's in the room. We customize our workshops and our trainings depending on what our trainees need. So given that we're a culturally responsive program, what's happening in the world obviously affects the way that we're doing the program. So this year, instead of having an 8-month program that is all online, because we will be virtual this year, just because we want to protect our teaching artists and our students who are going into the classroom. Their health and safety comes first for us. So Jay, can you let those folks in? Thank you. We'll be going virtual because of that. So given that we don't want to do an 8-month program virtually, we want to condense it into 2 sessions. So there's going to be a fall session and a spring session. And normally in TAP, we have 3 different tracks. We have new and beginners, we have working teaching artists, and we have students, people who are in undergrad or graduate programs. However, for TAP this year, for the fall session at least, we will be focusing on working teaching artists. So what does that mean? That is people who are actively working in online classrooms right now or in person. Maybe you're in a city or a state that you are allowed to be in person right now. Or people who have some experience teaching. So the fall session is not going to be for people who have no experience teaching at all. We do not yet know if we're going to make that call for the spring. But the theme of the fall is, what is a working teaching artist now? What does teaching artistry look like right now? Which is why we've chosen to focus on working teaching artists. So if you are brand new to teaching at all, the fall session's not going to be for you. However, we might focus our spring session for brand new people. I would just say check back with us as we go along. We'll announce that closer to November, December, once we've been through the training and kind of figure out what exactly the field needs right now. So the fall session's going to look like this. We're still going to have our 3 branches that we break TAP down into. We're going to have our core workshops, which you'll find those dates listed on this PDF document. Those are going to be our all-together core workshops that Jay talked about, where we're going to be talking about facilitation, online learning, power, privilege, and positionality in online spaces, accessibility, that kind of thing. And then we will have what's called fieldwork in place of the internships. And this is part of the big reason why we're focusing on working teaching artists. The fieldwork differs from the internships because you're not, it's not a long-term internship like 15 weeks that's building up in the classroom to you leading your own lesson. Instead, we're going to have 4 different types of fieldwork, and I'm going to talk about those in just a second. The electives are still going to be similar to what Jay talked about. We'll have additional workshops available, and you'll have a certain amount of hours to fulfill in the electives, but we'll have electives on some anti-racist training. We're going to do some trauma-informed work, some social emotional learning work, inclusivity and accessibility work. Those electives will be announced once the training starts. So there's going to be different, you're still going to be able to pick and choose what you want to do. And then Jay, if you'll go to the next slide, I'm going to talk about the 4 fieldwork opportunities. There's 4 different opportunities, and each trainee who participates in the fall is going to be able to pick 2. So you're going to participate in 2, and you can kind of think of these as micro internships. So they're going to be condensed rather than our normal 15-week-long internship, 12-week-long. These are going to be condensed micro internships, which we're calling fieldwork, and there's 4 different branches. The first one is going to focus on kind of art as activism, collaborative art making out in the community, talking about inclusivity and accessibility in online spaces. Our facilitator, Adriana Guzman, is going to be taking charge of that. Each facilitator will kind of be leading one of these fieldwork or micro internship. The second one, Jay, do you want to talk about that one real quick? Oh, you're muted.
We're still going to be looking into the classroom and curriculum, but kind of looking at experiences inside of it. So you will still kind of get a chance to get paired with kind of an active teaching artist in some kind of capacity. The expectation, however, is that you will be asked to still create a lesson plan, to kind of create your own curriculum design, and you'll also be able to kind of ask to lead pre-recorded video, where you can lead an activity that can kind of also be shared within the classroom structure as well. So there still will be opportunities to lead an exercise, but it won't be in a traditional sense.
And in that one, Jay, where people are going to be able to visit different digital classrooms, right? Like maybe elementary, middle school, high school.
Yeah, so you're still, with this one, you kind of get a glimpse of different kind of experiential levels. So the residencies that we do have open, if you're interested in kind of taking a peek at them, you'll be able to kind of get into like a day run of how that class is working, whether that's the activities they're doing with different art forms or with age or experiential levels.
Thanks, Jay. The third one is what we're calling our professional development fieldwork, and that's going to be with Carla Robinson, our artistic director. And this one is really focusing on the trainee as facilitator and you developing your own professional development trainings, your own workshops to take to other teaching artists to do. So kind of like what we do, like I lead a social emotional learning workshop, we'd be helping you to develop your own workshops to lead, and we do that by incorporating what your teaching artist values are. We use that as like a art as liberation kind of thing. So you'd be really creating your own trainings in this one. And then the fourth one is arts education administration. So we're seeing a lot of teaching artists today making that jump from teaching artist to arts ed administrator. Jay and I are both practicing teaching artists. So I'm a full-time director, but I'm also a teaching artist in the classroom. Jay is a teaching artist in the classroom. He also does some admin work for us and is a facilitator of TAP. So we're seeing a lot of that hybrid model. So this field work is going to be with me. I'm going to be leading this one, and it's going to be helping you develop the skills you need to pursue administration work in arts education, and looking at different organizations, finding out what you might like to do in administration, looking at the nonprofit structure, that kind of thing. I want to go to the next one. That's the field work, and I know there's probably a lot of questions about all of these. We're going to open them up in just a minute. So TAP is a tuition-based program. The tuition for the fall session is $500. If you turn your application in before September 1st, you get $100 off. It's our early bird special, so it would be only $400. However, we know that working teaching artists aren't always able to afford a program like this, which is why we have scholarships available. The scholarship application is part of the entire TAP application. If you wish to apply for a scholarship, there will be a section in the application that says, like, do you want to apply for a scholarship? Yes. Okay. Upload a one-page request letter. And this letter is not super intense. It's just a one-page request letter by you telling us why you need a scholarship, giving us a kind of a picture of your income, your financial situation, and telling us why in general you want a scholarship. I will tell you that Jay and I are both scholarship recipients in this program. So it definitely is open. We try to make it possible for you to do this program if you really want to. We also have payment plans and that kind of thing available. All right, we'll go to the last one, I think.
And alums. So TAP and CWP has been around for 22 years. If you think about how many students we have served, over 250,000 students served with over 600 graduates. And as we said, like, the alumni are really what kind of drives the program. I would say that I was recommended to come through TAP through Carla Robinson. That's how I kind of got invited into the TAP space. You see a lot of collaborations happening between TAP alumni while they're in the program. We have people that are working on some art projects together, visual projects. I've also worked with one of my colleagues to do some curriculum development designs. We have alums that also have published books, and we try to promote their resources inside and outside of the classrooms. So we look to see how we can use each other as a network to support each other. We put out a monthly newsletter that's very popular that kind of updates you on opportunities, things that people are doing inside their community and also with their artistry. So that's something that we find very helpful. The Facebook group is also active and engaging, posting opportunities for whether they're artist gigs or events that are coming up as well. And we also have an anthology. So if you look about each graduating class has an anthology that kind of highlights each person's individual artistry, but also their teaching style. So that is something that is also popular. You kind of get a page on our website that is dedicated to you. And it's kind of like a resource that we use to kind of highlight who you are and your kind of growth through the TAP program as well. So the Alumni Network is something that we're very proud of, but also like the way we like to share opportunities and engage with one another as well.
Yeah, thanks. I just dropped the link to our anthology page. You'll see if you want to see classes and kind of the work they've done, you can go through and click through and see what the page that all of our trainees get on our website. A lot of them use it in their resume to show like the work that they've done. And then I will say that we are a very community-oriented program. We are really about building collaborations and building strong partnerships within our TAP community. And so each group becomes like its own little family. And within the 30-ish participants that we'll have in the fall session, you'll be in a care team. So it'll be broken up into groups of 4 to 5 or 4 to 6 people in your care team, and you'll be really responsible for each other throughout the session. So we really encourage collaboration and partnerships with our participants. And I know that like between Jay and I, some of our closest friends came out of the program and, you know, are still really good friends today, so.
Close friends and people that we continually collaborate with today. And even Katie and ourselves, we collaborate outside of CWP to do workshops together and kind of like use the things that we like and enjoy and see how we can kind of boost each other or kind of highlight each other outside of it as well. So it's something that we're very proud of.
Yeah, that's true. We just did 2 different conferences together. Jay and I did a protest poetry workshop outside of TAP and everything. So definitely a lot of collaboration with TAP trainees. So now we want to, I know that was a lot of information we just threw at you. We want to make sure we open up for questions. You can jump in the chat or just unmute yourself and ask.
This was great. Thank you so much for all the information. Quick question with the care team sound awesome. I'm curious how they're like configured. Is it based on different art forms, or having diversity within art forms, or experience level, or is it kind of random?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we definitely do by diversity of art form and backgrounds and people. We see who's coming into the program. We do a lot of matchmaking in TAP, I will say. Like, we try to get to know people really well before they even come in the program. Once you apply, you'll see that we do group interviews. So we do a lot of these open houses. We want to get to know people who are thinking about applying. We talk to people on the phone. We're going to do group interviews once the applications close, because we like to meet people who are coming in before the program, because we want to get an idea of who's going to work really well together. So I like to pride myself on my matchmaking skills after 8 years in this program. So there's some of that. We'll definitely have people of different artistries in each group, because we want to promote cross collaboration across art forms. Jay, anything else about the care teams? I'm not really sure.
Yeah, it's definitely not a scientific method, but it's definitely tested and approved, and something that we do think of. So like relationships and community is a big part of it. So even before we get into the TAP process, that relationship and community happens beforehand, so we can kind of make those informed decisions for your care teams. And your care teams do become like a support group to kind of help if you miss a class, or if you miss something, they could kind of direct you to the resources that you need, and also kind of be there to help you, guide you throughout the process as well. So we try to kind of match art forms, experience levels, and kind of bring you together to kind of, be that rock and foundation throughout.
Yeah, definitely. We try to put people together who we think will challenge each other, support each other, and work really well together.
I was curious, how many applicants do you usually have for a session? Is it a very competitive program, or?
I would say that we, depending on year to year, we take about 50 to 60% of the people who apply. Yeah. And we take about, on average, 30 to 35 participants. Usually we graduate, I would say, around 30. So we'll always let in a few more, just because people get into a program and then figure that like maybe this year is not the right year, they're not in a good place, and we always let those people defer to the next year. Can you share a little more on what the workshops are like and how they'll be different this session? Yeah, so our core workshops are going to be on Saturdays still. The time is still the same that we would do, that we would normally do. It is, the times are, I think the workshops are a little bit shorter, just because I think we've all been on enough Zoom workshops and Zoom classes to know that like anything more than 3 hours and everybody just goes brain dead, I think. But in terms of the workshops, we start with community building and self-exploration. We do a lot of power and privilege accountability, a lot of work within your care teams. We'll work on facilitation skills, and like, especially in the fall session, we're going to be looking at remote learning. So like, what skills do you need to do the best possible digital class you can? Jay, what else are we doing?
I know we're also looking at the idea of teaching resistance through our work, also like highlighting centering our students in online spaces. So really kind of thinking about the teaching experience, but also, since we're experienced teachers, but kind of facilitating in an online format. And I know through the interview process, we're also looking to see what the needs are the community, so we can kind of also highlight that in the later workshops as well.
Yeah, and the field work too, the workshops are going to be all together. The field work is where you're going to get kind of into a specialty and where you're going to be doing your project. So everybody is going to have a project they're working on depending on what field work you pick. I know that Jay and yours, you might be developing a curriculum for online platforms. Carla's going to be helping people develop their own workshops. I am still deciding what the project's going to be for administration, but likely it'll be a lot of like teaching how to apply for grants, that kind of thing, learning some databases or skills that you might need for administration work. So I hope that answers the question. And does TAP support alumni in securing paid teaching residencies? If so, what does that look like? Yeah, so definitely we are very jobs oriented. In a usual TAP year, I put together the annual Arts and Education Job Fair with the Borough of Manhattan Community College, where we have over 50 organizations come who are hiring teaching artists, assistants, administrators, and I do a lot of job prep in a usual TAP year, helping you get your resume going, prep for auditions and interviews. This year, we're really focused on building up those skills that you might need to do work alternative to teaching artistry, but also to do your teaching artistry in this digital new world we live in. So we will have a lot of that, like we'll do some electives on resume building, audition, interviewing, also a lot of connecting you to other organizations. One of the cool things about TAP is that we have what we call is our TAP cohort, which is a network of 17 organizations, including Community Word Project, that we work together to create the electives that you will have an opportunity to take part in. So the organizations in there you can find on our website, but like we partner with the Brooklyn Arts Council, we partner with Artist Year, we partner with National Dance Institute and City Lore, different organizations. So part of what TAP is getting you a foot in the door in these other organizations, getting you introduced to them, connecting you with them, and helping you apply for jobs with them. And through a lot of these organizations, there are normally in a normal TAP year, we have paid assistantships that our trainees apply for. We're still waiting to hear if that's going to be a part of this year, just because every organization is facing something different right now. But yeah, so that's our support in terms of paid in terms of helping you get jobs. I do a lot of like personal career coaching as a part of this job, and certainly with our alums, I have people reaching out to me all the time, asking for recommendations, asking for me to be a reference, helping me workshop their resume. We don't go away just when you graduate the program. Like we said, like we're definitely community oriented and focused on our alumni community. So that's part of this program too. Does that answer the question? More about the alternatives to teaching artistry. Yeah, so, like the Fieldwork is really focused on this alternative, right? Alternative to teaching in the public schools, teaching just in schools. We're focusing on also how do we teach in our communities, or how do we as teaching artists build our own training to go out there and provide for other teaching artists or other organizations, or how do you make the jump to administrative work, like I talked about. So that's really what we mean about the alternatives to teaching artistry. We're really looking at arts education and all the other branches in arts education that a teaching artist can take part in and learn the skills to be a part of. Shay, do you want to answer one? I feel like I'm talking way too much.
I feel like you're answering them all spot on though. So I'll take the next question. Are there any more questions that you have?
There's one. Do you have teaching artists around the country, or are you focused in why?
During the usual TAP year, we have been focused in NY, but with moving to the virtual format, we are definitely opening up to other parts of the nation as well. So that's definitely why we're trying to get the dates out there as early as possible, so we can think about like differences in time zones and conflicts of interest that may arise as well. So the community, we are looking to expand, just because even our alumni, when they graduate, a lot of them don't stay in New York. So you might still see our alumni base spread out throughout the country as well.
And I'll say this year is going to be probably our most like multicultural year, because we have already had 2 applicants from overseas that want to take part, which is going to be some logistical figuring out, but it'll be really interesting. I just wanted to clarify that our teaching artists for Community Word Project are NY based, because we are here in person in all 5 boroughs. So we don't normally do online classes, but we obviously are doing them this year within our schools. Where can I email my business proposal for your cultural and music and dance program? Oh, Crystal, we will talk more about that in the Rochester training. I'm happy to take a look at that and talk through it with you as part of that training.
I have a couple of questions, actually. One is, are you looking for any specific kind of teaching experience, given that you're focusing on working artists for this next session? Because I do have teaching experience, but it's not like, you know, public school classroom teaching experience. And I have various kinds of like mentoring experience, and it's definitely applicable, but I don't know if that's the kind of thing you're looking for.
No, we're not just focused on the public schools. We have plenty of teaching artists that come through our program who are really more interested in teaching in community settings, and we do work in libraries and in other populations. Like we have teaching artists who are interested in, you know, going to take their work into incarcerated youth and things like that. So it's definitely not just for people who have DOE experience or Department of Education experience.
Great. And then my other one was, so you said that you do, like you sort of carefully put together the community groups for during the training. Do you do something similar in terms of the fieldwork placements in like, as in the sense of like which schools we go to, like where our different like focuses might be more or less needed, different, you know, like do you also partner with maybe more specialized public schools, like public schools that might service more people with disabilities or things like that? Do you like do matchmaking in that sense as well?
Yes. Jay, you want to?
Yeah, so I would say in the normal sense, yes. So you will have like a choice and a kind of a say in like what you want to kind of take on for your fieldwork and your internships. So like we will usually like a brochure of like the opportunities that we have available for the residencies. And you could kind of say, this is my major art form, or this is like my minor art form, or this is an art form that I kind of want to see more hands-on training on. And you get to kind of pick what art forms you want to look at. You also get a bio of each of the teaching artists who are inside of their classroom. So you can kind of, you know, see more about like what their thinking is behind the things that they are bringing into the classroom. Kind of like get a glimpse of the bio of the teaching artists actually teaching the classrooms. And then from that also like age range of like what age range you might be wanting to look at. So like in a normal year, you'll have that, you're kind of get your top selection, who actually kind of like choose your top 3 choices. And then from there, we'll try to rank you or give you a selection that's based off easy access for you. Because again, we're in all 5 boroughs. So you might want something that's closer to where you work, or you might want something that's closer to where, you know, you live. So like we try to take those things into preferences as well. With the online format, it's going to be something similar as well. We're just going to list like the residencies that we have available and open, and kind of still break them down based off of art form and as far as like age range as well. And then again, you have an option of choosing which ones you're the most interested in, and we're going to try to match you based off of that. Just because we know like the virtual classrooms will look different, the time constraints will be more open for people. So we're hoping to get more trainees inside of a classroom observing in a certain kind of way.
Yeah,
Very
and
cool.
I will say that Jay and I's classrooms are both going to be classrooms that you'll be able to visit. I work with 9th grade, all women or non-binary students out in Jamaica, Queens. And Jay, you're with 6th graders and a couple other.
Yeah, I'm with a few residency, but I definitely think we might have the 6th grade. And then I also do New York Public Library workshops, and those are one-off. So like if you want access into like a residency that's non-traditional, like outside of a classroom, you can kind of look into some of those as well. So we'll have different opportunities for you to be to observe things and to kind of get those different experiences.
I see. Do you see that?
Yep. I see a hand from Alexander.
Oh, I was just gonna, Kate asked for the classroom and curriculum fieldwork, something we're shadowing teachers in or leading ourselves our current work. Yes, you will be visiting a classroom with mentor teaching artists. So like you will be coming into my classroom at the Young Women's Leadership School if you pick my classroom. And I'll be, you know, working with you as a mentor in what I do in my classroom. You said there was another hand?
Yeah, hi. I'm currently doing some teaching artist work that was virtual, but now is going back to in person in September. And I'm just interested how this training might address like the kind of the strange landscape that we're in New York, where the DOE is going, as of now, you know, going back to in-person learning. and kind of the complexities of that, because I know a lot of, you know, kids also don't have access to the internet and don't, parents might need their kids in-person things, whereas also there's the safety issues. So I don't know if that, since it's kind of fully in the online format, if we'll kind of engage with the complexity of the in-between space at all.
Yeah, we'll certainly be talking a lot about that. And, you know, these are some things that we'll be working on as a group too. Like, we don't expect, like, we don't walk into a room thinking that we're the did I freeze again? No, okay. We don't walk into the room saying like, we're the experts, we know everything. It is really about the expertise in the room as well, which is why we take such care in building the community that we do. I will say, Alec, that I don't think this is going to last with the DOE. I'm pretty sure they're going to pull back to virtual shortly after school starts, because I think we're going to see a spike. But that's my own private opinion aside. But you will definitely be talking about, you know, the hybrid model, the complexities of all this. Jay, anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, just the hybrid models. And then if you're in New York, you understand there are just so many different things each school could kind of sign up for. So I guess like the one reason why we're saying is that we want experienced teaching artists or people that are actively teaching, is so we kind of bring those experiences and the things that we are kind of facing it, whether they're online or if they're in person, to kind of really talk through them. And I know like we might work for different organizations as well, and just thinking about yourself as a business, but also like the things that we bring for organizations is like a practice that we're trying to kind of be informed about through the people that are in the workshop. So we're definitely will be exploring like the different practices of being inside a classroom, and or you know, if you're kind of remote, but your students are inside the classroom. So like those will have different experiences, and there kind of be different expectations of what those what those classrooms will look like, and we'll walk through those different models and see what people are comfortable with as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Look at that, right on time. Oh, go ahead, Henry.
I might have one more question, sorry. So given that like your the format of CWP is already very collaborative based, with the combination of writers and then alternative arts thing, is there still a push to sort of focus on, you know, what you were saying, like a primary and a secondary art form, or is it encouraged that it's like just to kind of mush them? Because like, you know, my degree is in theater, but what I've been doing for the last 2 years is visual art. So it's one of those things where at the moment they're kind of both my primary art forms. So I've been thinking how I can sort of do them as one thing. Is that something that's encouraged here, or is that something that's like,
oh yeah, no, complex? I will say that in our classroom there is no primary art form. We consider both art forms equal. So it's not like the kids are learning writing, but we're also doing some visual arts. No, it's definitely collaborative and equal, and it's not about mushing them together. So we also teach, part of the TAP pedagogy is teaching to multiple intelligences and how students learn. So it's not just bringing in 2 art forms. We really teach about how to bring multiple art forms into the classroom. I will say that my class out at the Young Women's Leadership School is the one different residency that we have at CWP, as in I'm the only teaching artist out there. But that's for another reason. However, even though it's a creative writing focus, I bring all art forms into the classroom. I have some students who, you know, would rather write a song or like make some music than create poetry. So it's definitely about bringing all art forms in an equal way into the classroom.
Cool. That's the stuff I want to do.
Bring all your art forms with you as you come into the classroom, like whatever that is for you. And then your residency sometimes comes a mashup between visual arts, writing, dance, like kind of whatever the interests of the students are as well. We kind of like, the good thing I'd like to say also about CWP is like we never have a solid game plan of like what the residency will look like until we meet our students, right? Because we want to have our students to be centered in it. And it's the same thing with the TAP approach as well. Like we're not going to have a finished game plan until like we meet you all and kind of bring all the information and to see what we need to kind of really bring out everything that we want for each other.
Yeah, we have an outline and we have, you know, things that we've built, but things will change as we meet the participants who are a part and figure out what exactly the needs are. Because we might find that this group needs more remote learning work rather than like anti-racist work or vice versa, something like that. And going off Henry's question, is there an art form that is more popular among applicants? Well, among applicants, we always get a ton of theater people, but it doesn't make, it doesn't sway an application one way or another. I think that's just because theater people are more outgoing than most. Although last year I would say that the visual artists made up the majority, but there is not one majority in the class we accept. We try and make it equal and bring plenty of each art form in. Although I will say dancers and musicians, we always have the least of, and filmmakers.
Filmmakers, we definitely like filmmakers to apply more.
Yeah. But don't get discouraged if you're a theater person. Like we love theater people as part of it. We just happen to have the most applicants probably who are theater artists.
Thank you, Henry. I'm set up. You see, I'm kind of Zoom set up almost. For
yeah. Is that your work?
Say it again.
Is that your work?
No. It is a song I wrote or a poem I wrote called Seasonal Love, and then somebody drew that. And then the poem is my work that I drew because I'm a pretend visual artist as well.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it.
Any other questions? No, well, it's 6:03. I want to honor everyone's time. Thank you all so much for being here. Please email us if you have any questions at tap@communitywordproject.org. We're happy to answer your questions, jump on the phone, whatever. We'll be doing another open house in probably 2 weeks. So if for some reason you have application questions or something, you can email us or show up then. Although if you're all here, please apply before the September 1st deadline so you get a discount. All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a lovely evening.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Moira, for being here.
Yeah, it's good for me.
Yeah.
Need it.
Yeah.